Everyone wants to build the next Apple, the next Tesla, the next OpenAI, because that's where the billionaires are, right? But here's the strange part. Every year, an industry almost nobody talks about quietly creates thousands of new millionaires. No viral product launches, no celebrity founders, no billion-dollar funding rounds, no flashy headlines, just ordinary people building extraordinary wealth. In fact, many of the richest self-made people in the world never invented anything revolutionary. They simply entered an industry hiding in plain sight, an industry that exists in every country, every city, every neighborhood, one that keeps growing whether the economy is booming or collapsing, and once you see it, you'll never look at wealth creation the same way again. Because while everyone is chasing the future, the smartest investors have been quietly buying something much older, something much more predictable. This is the industry that quietly creates more millionaires than tech. Level 1. The great illusion of tech wealth. When people imagine becoming rich, they imagine Silicon Valley, young founders, hoodies, hackathons, artificial intelligence, apps, startups, and billion-dollar exits. Movies have trained us to believe that technology is the fastest road to wealth. And to be fair, tech has produced incredible fortunes. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Mark Zuckerberg, Jensen Huang. The list goes on, but here's what the headlines never tell you. These people are statistical outliers. For every startup that becomes a unicorn, thousands disappear forever. According to startup research, most startups fail. Many never make a profit. Some don't survive 3 years. Others burn through millions in investor money before shutting down. Yet every year, people continue believing tech is the safest path to becoming wealthy. Why? Because success is visible. Failure isn't. You hear about Facebook. You never hear about the 10,000 startups that quietly disappeared. This is called survivorship bias. Our brains only remember winners and ignore everyone else. Meanwhile, an entirely different industry keeps producing millionaires with far less attention. An industry built on something humans have needed for thousands of years. Land, buildings, shelter, real estate. Level 2, the silent wealth machine. Real estate doesn't feel exciting. Nobody waits in line overnight for a new apartment building. There are no flashy product launches, no viral keynote speeches, no dramatic IPO celebrations, which is exactly why people underestimate it. Real estate isn't built on excitement. It's built on mathematics. Let's think about one apartment building. Imagine someone buys a 20-unit property. Every month, 20 families pay rent. That income helps cover expenses. The mortgage shrinks, the property slowly rises in value. Meanwhile, inflation pushes rents higher over time. The owner isn't making money from just one source. They're earning from multiple wealth engines at once. Rental income, property appreciation, mortgage pay down, tax advantages, leverage. That's 5 wealth builders working together. Very few businesses offer that combination. Now multiply that across 10 buildings, or 50, or 100. Suddenly, you're not simply collecting rent, you're operating a cash-generating machine. This explains why property owners dominate millionaire statistics across many developed economies. Not because every landlord is brilliant, but because the system rewards patience. Time becomes their greatest employee. And unlike many businesses, people will always need somewhere to live. During recessions, demand shifts. During booms, demand expands. But housing never becomes irrelevant. That consistency creates something incredibly valuable. Predictability. Level 3, the hidden formula nobody talks about. Here's where things become fascinating. Most people think wealth comes from working harder. Millionaires understand something different. Control beats effort. Imagine 2 people. The first earns an excellent salary. Every year they save money. The second owns 10 small commercial buildings. Both work hard. But their financial realities are completely different. The employee trades time for income. The property owner owns assets that produce income. That distinction changes everything. The wealthy don't simply earn, they own. Ownership creates leverage, and leverage changes the speed of wealth creation. Consider this. Suppose you purchase a £500,000 property using a £100,000 deposit. If the property increases by 10%, its value rises by £50,000. You invested £100,000, but gained £50,000 in equity. That's a 50% return on your invested capital before considering rental income. This is financial leverage, used responsibly. It becomes one of the most powerful wealth-building tools ever created. Of course, leverage cuts both ways. Poor investments become even worse. High interest rates can squeeze profits. Vacancies reduce cash flow. Bad management destroys returns. Real estate isn't risk-free, but neither is business. Neither is investing. Neither is launching a startup. The difference is that property allows ordinary people to use borrowed money to buy appreciating assets. Banks rarely lend millions to start a small software company. They regularly lend against real estate. That single difference has created millions of fortunes. Level 4. The billionaires who understand the game. Look closely at the world's wealthiest people. Many began somewhere else, but eventually, they bought property. Retail giants own shopping centers. Luxury brands own flagship buildings. Hotel chains own prime locations. Investment firms acquire warehouses. Private equity firms buy office towers. Even technology companies purchase enormous campuses. Why? Because land is limited. You can always build another smartphone. You can't build another Manhattan, or another Mayfair, or another Monaco waterfront. Scarcity creates value. This principle has existed for centuries. One famous example is Sam Zell, often called the grave dancer. While others panicked during economic downturns, he bought undervalued real estate. When markets recovered, his fortune exploded. Then there's Donald Bren, outside business circles. Many people barely know his name. Yet he quietly became one of America's wealthiest individuals through property development. No revolutionary invention, no viral app, just decades of buying, building, and holding valuable real estate. The pattern repeats across the world. Developers, industrial landlords, warehouse owners, logistics park investors, data center operators, self-storage businesses, student housing, healthcare properties. Most people never hear their names. Yet many quietly accumulate enormous fortunes. Because wealth doesn't always seek attention. Sometimes, it simply collects rent. Level 5. The real secret isn't property. Here's the twist. This story isn't actually about real estate. It's about understanding how wealth is built. Technology rewards innovation. Entertainment rewards attention. Sports reward talent. But property rewards ownership. The lesson goes much deeper. Millionaires look for assets, not applause, cash flow, not excitement, compounding, not quick wins. This mindset extends beyond real estate. Buying shares means owning businesses. Buying infrastructure means owning essential services. Buying farmland means owning productive land. Buying logistics warehouses means owning global trade. The principle stays the same. Own assets. Let those assets work. Repeat. Over decades, small decisions compound into extraordinary outcomes. This is why many wealthy people appear almost boring. They aren't constantly chasing trends. They're quietly buying assets that produce income year after year. While everyone debates the next big thing, they focus on timeless principles: ownership, scarcity, cash flow, compounding, patience. Those ideas created fortunes long before Silicon Valley existed. And they'll continue creating fortunes long after today's hottest startup disappears. Conclusion. Technology changed the world. There's no denying that. It created companies worth trillions. It transformed communication, business, healthcare, education, almost everything. But when it comes to quietly producing millionaires, the numbers tell a different story. The biggest fortunes often aren't built through invention. They're built through ownership. Not by creating the next revolutionary app, but by controlling assets that become more valuable over time. The people who understand this don't chase every headline. They don't panic during every market correction. They don't rely on luck. They accumulate one property, one asset, one investment at a time. Because real wealth rarely arrives with fireworks. It grows silently, month after month, year after year, decade after decade. The greatest financial advantage isn't predicting the future. It's owning something the future will always need. And perhaps that's why the industry creating the most millionaires is also the one making the least noise. If everyone is running toward the next big technology revolution, it might be worth asking a different question. Who's quietly buying the buildings they're all working in?